My child, where are you? Stop right where you are. Don't move your finger to scroll past this moment. This is not a coincidence, and it is not a random stumble in a feed. This is a divine interruption, an urgent call that found you in the quiet place, where your smile fades and your thoughts grow loud. I have been waiting for this exact second, when the world around you finally softened, when the noise outside dropped low enough for you to hear what has been calling you from the inside. I am looking for you. Not because you are lost like a person who cannot be found, but because you have been living like someone who no longer expects to be found. You have learned how to function while disappearing. You have learned how to say, "I'm okay," while your spirit sits in a corner, exhausted and silent. You have learned how to pray with your mouth while your heart stays guarded behind the walls you built to survive. And I need you to hear me clearly tonight. I don't miss your prayers. I miss you. I miss the real you, the you that existed before betrayal, taught you caution before disappointment, taught you to lower your expectations before survival taught you to numb what you used to feel. I miss the you who dreamt without apologizing. I miss the you who laughed without scanning the room for danger. I miss the you who believed I was near, even when you didn't have proof yet. That is why I am reaching for you now. Because you have been growing tired in a way sleep cannot heal. You have been carrying a weariness that sits deep in your bones, the kind of fatigue that comes from pretending, from pushing forward, with a heart that feels on hold, from trying to keep moving, while something inside you is quietly frozen. You wondered if your words were hitting a ceiling, if heaven had gone silent, if I had forgotten what I promised you. But listen, I have never moved away from you. I have been nearer than your breath in the very moments you felt most alone. I am not calling you back into religion. I am calling you back into relationship. Before I reveal what I'm about to do in your life, I need you to answer me not with performance, not with polished words, but with presence. I want you to step out of hiding, even if you can only do it in a whisper. So I'm asking for one simple act of faith. Type "I am here, Lord," or simply 7007 in the comments below. Not because I need a number from you. Heaven does not run on codes, but because you need a moment of decision. This is you saying, "I will not vanish in my own pain anymore." This is you declaring, "I am still here. I am still listening. I am still reachable." When you do that, you are drawing a line in the sand that darkness understands. You are no longer agreeing with silence, and you are no longer hiding your wounded heart behind a busy life. And now, hear me, my beloved. I did not come to scold you. I came to find you. I am like a father who stands at the window scanning the horizon, not with anger, but with longing, waiting for the first glimpse of his child's return. I am not asking for perfect words. I am not asking for flawless faith. I am asking for you, your honest presence, your true voice, your real heart, even if it's trembling. Because there is something you have not recognized, yet there is a plot against your peace. The enemy is not only trying to make you fail, he is trying to make you numb. He is trying to freeze your soul into a state of permanent stagnation, so you live, but you do not burn. So you breathe, but you do not hope. So you exist, but you no longer reach. He wants you to become a monument to almost healed, almost free, almost brave, almost ready. And you have felt it, haven't you? That strange heaviness when you try to move forward. That feeling of running in place, that quiet thought that whispers, "Nothing will ever change." But I am speaking now to break that ice. The season of being on hold is over. The season of surviving without shining is ending. I am looking for you because there is a work only you can do, a light only you can carry, and a story only you can tell, not after you become perfect, but after you become present again. So if you feel my voice pulling on your spirit, don't hide from me tonight. Subscribe to this channel and stay with me through this message, because I am not just visiting you, I am coming to restore you. And as we go deeper, I will show you exactly how I am dismantling the traps set for your feet, how I am thawing what the enemy tried to freeze, and how I am preparing a table for you in the very presence of what once tried to break you. I see what you do. You walk through bright rooms and crowded days wearing a smile that reaches your lips but never reaches your eyes. You answer, "I'm fine," so smoothly that people believe it. And sometimes you almost believe it too. But I see behind the mask. I see the moment your voice stays calm while your heart goes quiet. I see the way you live, unplugged, present in body, absent in spirit. And hear me, this numbness is not your personality. It is not your destiny. It is a tactic. You didn't shut down because you're cold, you shut down because you were overloaded. Pain kept coming, and your soul made a deal it thought would save you. If I feel everything, I will break. So I will feel nothing. What started as a shield has become a prison. You stopped weeping, not because you healed, but because you ran out of strength to bleed. I saw you when no one else did. I saw you at night when the room is quiet, but your thoughts are loud. I saw you stare into your reflection and wonder where your joy went, where your passion went, why the things that once lit you up now taste like ash. You are not weak because you went numb. You are a wounded soul trying to survive. But the enemy has been using this numbness as a cage. He whispers, "This is permanent. You'll never laugh like you used to. You'll never love like you used to. You'll never feel purpose again." He wants you alive, but not burning. Existing, but not awakening. But I have come to break the locks. Do not mistake my silence for absence. I have been standing in the cold with you, guarding your heart while it hibernated. And now I am moving to thaw what was frozen. I am not here to shame you. I am here to restore you. If this is you, press like right now as a simple sign, "Lord, I'm listening." The numbness is about to crack, and when it does, you won't be left exposed, you will be held. There is a place you have gone that no map can find. A quiet corner of your mind. A cave you built with disappointment and sealed with exhaustion. You didn't go there because you're lazy. You went there because you fought longer than anyone knows, and when the outcome didn't look like the victory, you prayed for something and you collapsed. So you retreated. Not to rest, but to disappear. You told yourself, "If I stay hidden long enough, the noise will stop. The expectations will fade. The calling will quiet down." But today, I am standing at the mouth of your cave. Not with thunder, not with condemnation, with a whisper that carries more power than the storms that drove you inside. And I am asking you the same question I asked Elijah when he sat in the darkness of his despair. What are you doing here, my precious child? Elijah ran after he saw fire fall from heaven. He watched the impossible become reality, yet one threat from a human voice sent him into the wilderness. He sat under a broom tree and asked to die. Convinced he was alone, convinced his work was wasted, convinced the shadows had won. But I did not shame him for breaking. I did not scold him for fear. I sent an angel with bread and water. I gave him sleep. I gave him strength because the journey was too great for him to carry alone. And you, my beloved, have been trying to carry destiny on shoulders that were only meant to carry my grace. You have been running from a Jezebel voice. Maybe it sounds like shame. Maybe it sounds like lack. Maybe it sounds like you failed. Maybe it sounds like they'll never respect you again. But that voice has no authority over your future. It only has the power you keep giving it in the dark. This cave may have become your shelter, but it was never meant to become your home. I did not create you to live in hiding. I created you to be light. And the light in you has not died, it has only been covered. So breathe right now. Feel air fill your lungs. That is a gift. That is evidence you are still held. Now look into the corners of your cave and tell the truth quietly, honestly, without drama. What fear is keeping you inside? The fear of being seen and failing again. The fear that you are alone. The exhaustion of pretending to be strong. Name it. Because what is named cannot haunt you the same way. The wind has passed. The earthquake has settled. The fire has died down. And now, in the stillness, you will hear me again. I am not finished with you. Your story does not end in a cave of what if and if only. There are assignments still waiting for your hands. There are lives still waiting for your testimony. There is a table prepared for you outside this hiding place. And when you step out, you will realize something that will shake you. You didn't lose your identity in the cave. You only buried it there. You have spent so long staring at the wreckage of your life that you have started to believe you are the debris itself. You look at a bank statement that shows a lack of funds and you call yourself poor. You look at papers from a dissolved marriage and you call yourself failure. You look at the mistakes of your youth and you call yourself irredeemable. But I am telling you now, there is a holy separation between what happened to you and who you are. A masterpiece covered in dust is still a masterpiece. The dust does not rewrite the artist's intent, and it does not reduce the value of the canvas. I have come to blow away the dust of the world's definitions because the enemy's favorite trick is not just to wound you, but to rename you. And once you accept the wrong name, you begin living out a false identity as if it were destiny. Listen to me. An incident is not an identity. A season is not a surname. A failure is not a fingerprint. I am looking for the original blueprint, the design I drew with my own hands before you ever took your first breath. Before the world told you what you couldn't do, I had already declared what you would become. Before anyone counted your weaknesses, I had already numbered your assignments. Before your heart learned fear, I had already planted purpose in you like a seed that cannot be killed, only buried for a time. I saw you when you were a child before the weight of expectations and the scars of betrayal began to distort your reflection. I saw the sparkle in your eyes that spoke of dreams. I saw the tenderness in you that loved easily, trusted freely, and hoped boldly. That person is not gone, they are hidden under layers that were never meant to be permanent. You have been carrying labels other people put on you in moments of pain. You have been answering to names I never gave you, rejected. Not enough. Too late. Last in line, the one who always loses. But today I am calling you by your true name, and it is not the name your trauma gave you. It is not the name your past shouted over you. It is the name my love has always spoken, my beloved, my workmanship, my chosen vessel, my child. It is time to stop identifying with the fire and start identifying with the one who walked with you through it. Your identity is not found in your bank account. It is not anchored in your relationship status. It is not defined by a diagnosis, a betrayal, a rejection, or a sin you have already cried over 1,000 times. Your identity is anchored in my unchanging love. and the purpose I wove into your existence before anyone else had an opinion about you. Even when you were running, I still knew your name. Even when you were hiding, I still saw the original design. Even when you stopped believing in yourself, I did not stop believing in what I placed inside you. The world tries to make you a carbon copy of its fears and insecurities, but I created you as a unique expression of my glory. There is a sound in your spirit that the world tried to mute. There is a light in you that life tried to smother. There is a calling in you that pain tried to bury. And yes, the enemy has occupied territory in your mind for far too long. Rooms of thought where shame sits like a landlord, rooms where guilt speaks louder than grace, rooms where fear pretends to be wisdom. But I am reclaiming what belongs to you. I am restoring authority to your inner world. I am breaking agreements you made in desperation, agreements like, I will never trust again, I will never try again, I will never be happy again. Those were survival vows, not covenant truth. You are not a mistake of biology. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are deliberate. You are authored. Every tear you shed was noticed not because I enjoy your suffering, but because I use what the enemy intended to poison you as the very ingredient that strengthens you. I have been turning sorrow into depth. I have been turning disappointment into discernment. I have been turning loss into wisdom. The original you is not naive, it is courageous. The original you is not weak, it is tender and strong at the same time. The original you is creative, alive, and capable of peace that surpasses understanding. And I am digging through layers of shame and guilt to recover that person not as a museum piece from the past, but as a living identity that will carry the next season of your life. So breathe and let this settle into your spirit. You are not behind, you are being built. You are not breaking, you are becoming. You are not disqualified, you are being refined. The very things that tried to destroy your identity are the same things I am using to strengthen it. I am the potter, and you are the clay, and the wheel has been spinning fast, not to crush you, but to shape you. The pressure has been intense, not to punish you, but to form you into a vessel of honor that can hold what is coming. Do not agree with the enemy's lies any longer. If I say you are forgiven, do not keep bowing to guilt. If I say you are provided for, do not keep worshiping lack. If I say you are called, do not keep living as if you are forgotten. Come into agreement with me, and you will feel something shift inside you, because when you remember who you are, you will finally understand why you could not stay in hiding. And as your identity rises, the next thing I will show you will change the way you see your scars forever. Because in my hands, even what cracked you can become radiant. My child, you have wondered why the winds blew so fiercely against your house when you were trying your best to do what is right. You have asked me why the shadows seemed to thicken just as you began to seek the light, and why the path became steeper the moment you decided to walk in truth. Hear me carefully. There is an invisible enemy, and he is not impressed by your weakness. He is terrified of your potential. He does not waste his arrows on those who are dormant. He does not spend his strategies on those who have already surrendered. He presses you because he sees something on you that you have struggled to see in yourself. He sees the oil. He sees the calling. He sees the crown of purpose resting over your life, even when your mirror shows only exhaustion. He wants to crack the vessel of your spirit, not because he can destroy what I placed inside you, but because he believes he can make you leak out your faith, your joy, your courage slowly, quietly, until you are empty and bitter. He wants you alive, but dry, functioning, but faithless, smiling, but hollow. He wants you to stop burning without having to put out the fire directly. But what the enemy intended for your destruction, I have seized and turned into something else entirely, your divine restructuring. Sometimes I allow what you built to crumble because I saw the foundation. You were building a palace on shifting sand, on the opinions of men, on fragile promises, on systems that change overnight, on a version of security that could never hold the weight of your destiny. In my mercy, I permitted the storm to shake what could be shaken, so that only what is unshakable would remain. You felt like you were falling apart, but you were actually falling into alignment. You thought your world was ending, but I was clearing the site for a greater project. I had to interrupt what was too small before you spent your life maintaining a container that could never hold the magnitude of what I'm preparing to pour out. A small cup cannot hold an ocean, and the life you were clinging to was too narrow for what is coming. Some of what broke was not your punishment, it was my protection. Some of what collapsed was not your failure, it was my rescue. Because I refused to let you build your future on a lie and call it peace. I know you have sat in the middle of the rubble of your plans and whispered, "Why me?" I have heard the silent screams of your heart as you watched things you loved slip through your fingers like water. It felt like abandonment. It felt like I was silent while the walls fell and the dust choked your hope. But I was there, the witness and the architect, holding the plumb line, measuring every impact, watching every fracture, ensuring that not a single blow was allowed that was unnecessary for the removal of what was hindering your growth. I protected the core of who you are while the exterior was being stripped away. I guarded the seed while the husk was being torn open. The rubble is not the end of your story. It is raw material. I am teaching you to build again, not for survival, but for dominion, not to hide from the world, but to become a lighthouse for those who are still drowning in the storm you survived. I am rebuilding your discernment, your endurance, your voice, and your authority. I am pulling you out of shallow strength and into rooted strength, the kind that stands even when the wind screams. And yes, the restructuring is painful because it requires the removal of what is familiar. I am taking away the crutches you leaned on so you can finally learn the strength of my arm. I am removing voices that drowned out my whisper so you can hear the instructions I have for your next level. This is not a season of punishment. It is a season of preparation. I am refining you because what is coming carries weight, and I will not place heavy glory on a fragile foundation. I am toughening your spirit not to harden your heart, but to strengthen your core. The enemy thought he was burying you in debris, but I was planting you. I was placing you in fertile soil, where pressure becomes purpose, where breaking becomes building, where loss becomes alignment. And now, as this restructuring moves from your circumstances into your inner world, we must address the sacred place where all victory begins, the hidden landscape of your mind, of your... So tell me the truth in the comments. What is the one thing you feel is crumbling right now, so I can show you what I am actually building underneath it? Look into the hidden landscape of your thoughts, my child, for that. It is where the true battle for your destiny is either won or lost. I have seen the garden of your mind, and I have seen the strange and bitter seeds that have been scattered there by the winds of life and the whispers of the enemy. You have allowed thoughts of never and not enough to take root in the fertile soil of your imagination. And then you wondered why your inner world began to feel like a desert. I told you through my wisdom that as a person thinks in their heart, so they become. Your thoughts are not harmless clouds passing by. They are blueprints. And if you constantly envision your downfall, you will unconsciously build the scaffolding for defeat and call it reality. But I am here to teach you how to be a divine gardener again. You were not created to be a prisoner of your inner narration. You were created to be a steward of it. I am here to help you pull up the weeds of self-pity and the thorns of resentment that have been choking the dreams I planted within you before the world began. You have been watering what hurts you and starving what heals you. You have been rehearsing fear until it felt familiar and then calling it wisdom. But familiarity is not truth, and what feels normal is not always what is holy. Your heart is the wellspring of life, and I have given you a sacred command to guard it with all diligence, because from it flow the issues of life. This is not a suggestion. It is a spiritual necessity for your thriving. You must become the gatekeeper of your own consciousness. You must learn to stand at the door of your inner world and ask every thought, every image, every memory, every prediction, where did you come from? Who sent you? What fruit will you produce if I let you stay? When the thought comes saying, it's too late for you, recognize it as an intruder. When it says you have made too many mistakes for God to use, you recognize it as an intruder. When it says nothing will ever change, recognize it as an intruder. They are not my thoughts. My thoughts toward you are of peace and not of evil, to give you a future and a hope. You have been giving a seat at your table to the very shadows that want to starve your spirit. It is time to clear the room. It is time to replace the noise of the world with the sober, steady rhythm of my truth. There is a frequency of fear that makes everything look impossible. And there is a frequency of faith that makes the impossible feel inevitable. You have been living under the static of survival. But I am tuning your spirit back to the signal of heaven. Stop looking at the waves and start looking at the one who walks upon them. Pause and let this wisdom settle like oil over your mind. Let it quiet the tremor. Let it slow the racing. Let it steady the inner storm. Because when your mind is sober, your spirit becomes strong. When your heart is guarded, your path becomes clear. When your inner world is aligned with me, your outer world begins to reorganize itself around that alignment. Because what you consistently agree with inside eventually manifests as direction outside. And now hear this, your words are seeds. Every time you speak, you are planting something in the garden of your reality. I have heard you say, I am tired, when I have called you to be strong in me. I have heard you say, I am broke, when I have promised to supply what you need. I have heard you say, I can't, when I have already placed grace inside you, for I will. Sometimes, my beloved, you simply have to zip it, not out of denial, but out of discipline. You must stop digging up the seeds of my promises with negative confession, then wondering why nothing grows. Instead of agreeing with exhaustion, begin to speak renewal. Instead of agreeing with lack, begin to speak provision. Instead of agreeing with shame, begin to speak forgiveness. This is not fantasy. This is spiritual agriculture. Life and death are carried in the tongue, and you have been given authority to plant life. The pressure you feel is not here to crush you. It is here to transform you. Pressure can be a prison, or pressure can become power. The same heat that melts wax hardens clay. So choose what you become by choosing what you agree with. Guard your heart. Guard your mind. Guard your mouth. Because I am returning you to a sober mind, and from a sober mind, a new life will grow. You have looked at the people around you, those who seem to glide through life without a care, whose paths are smooth and whose laughter is light, and you have asked me, Why is my journey so intense? Why do I face the fiercest storms and the longest nights, my child? It is because you are not walking a casual path. You are not drifting. You are being formed. You are one of my chosen ones, not chosen for comfort, but chosen for capacity. I do not give heavy assignments to shallow foundations. I do not pour weighty glory into fragile vessels. I do not entrust kingdom impact to a heart that has never been refined. You have felt the pressure of the potter because you are clay being shaped for purpose. Every squeeze, every turn of the wheel, every moment in the kiln has been measured. The fire was not to destroy you. It was to strengthen what is true in you and burn off what is false. Some people can carry surface blessings and call it enough. But you were marked for depth, and depth is forged, not granted. The position of the chosen one is high honor and profound isolation. I have had to separate you from the crowd so you would stop drinking approval like water and start feeding on my voice like bread. I have allowed the sting of betrayal so you would learn what cannot be bought and cannot be stolen, the steadiness of my presence. I have let certain doors close so your spirit would stop running in circles, chasing what was never mine for you. You have been set apart, not because you are perfect, but because you are available. I saw a yes in you sometimes, whispered, sometimes trembling, sometimes barely formed. And I responded to that yes by pulling you into preparation. You call it delay, I call it training. You call it loneliness, I call it consecration. You call it pressure, I call it capacity being built. And I want you to see something you've missed. Your struggle has not been proof that you are rejected. Your struggle has often been evidence that you are selected. The enemy does not waste his most strategic warfare on people who are not carrying oil. He comes for what is anointed. He targets what is destined. He pressures what is potent, hoping you will interpret refinement as abandonment and throw away the very process that would mature you. Even Peter had to be broken to be rebuilt. He loved me, and still he fell. He denied me, and the sound of that failure echoed through his bones. He wept until he had nothing left to hide behind. But I did not discard him. I restored him. I recentered him. I gave him a new strength that only broken pride can receive. And from that place, I made him steady. I used what shattered him to anchor him. That is what I do, my beloved. I do not merely forgive what failed. I transform it into wisdom, authority, and compassion. The burden you feel is the weight of the crown I am preparing. Do not resent the process. The process is what qualifies you for the promise. You are being trained to rule, to lead, to heal, and you cannot lead people out of valleys you have never walked through. You will not only carry power, you will carry presence. You will not only speak words, you will release weight. You will not only survive storms, you will become a shelter for others in storms. So let this truth settle deep like a seal pressed into warm wax. I never bring my children this far just to leave them. Every difficulty you have faced, every problem you have solved, every tear you thought was wasted, has been an entrance exam for the much I am about to entrust to you. You are stronger than you think, because my strength is made perfect in weakness. This hidden season is not burying you, it is building you. And when you emerge, you will not be the same person who entered it. You will carry a different vibration in your spirit, a steady authority, a sharpened discernment, a softened compassion, a fearless clarity. You are moving from the training ground to the throne room. And the very things that once intimidated you will soon recognize the light you carry, and they will move out of your way. My precious one, come close and look at the fragments of your heart that you have tried so desperately to hide. You have spent so many nights trying to glue the pieces of your life back together with the sticky resin of doing better and trying harder, only to find that the seams are still visible and the vessel still leaks. You feel ashamed of the cracks. You believe that because you were broken by betrayal, by loss, or even by your own choices, you are now a second-class soul, a damaged good that can never be as radiant as the ones who remained untouched. But I am about to change the way you see yourself. In the realms of my wisdom, I do not discard what is broken. I do not throw away the shattered jar just because it hit the floor of hardship. Instead, I practice a divine kintsugi. I take the very pieces of your brokenness and I join them back together with something far more precious than the clay itself. I fill your cracks with the liquid gold of my grace, making you not only whole again, but more valuable than you were before the break, because you now carry a story, a depth, and a resonance that cannot be manufactured in comfort. I saw you when the hammer of life struck you, and I saw the moment you felt your spirit splinter in 1,000 directions. I did not turn away in disappointment. I knelt in the dust with you, and I began to gather every shard. Not one piece of your experience is wasted in my hands. Your restoration is not a return to the way things were. It is an evolution into something magnificent. When a vessel is repaired with gold, the cracks are no longer evidence of weakness. They become the architecture of beauty. They become the strongest lines in the structure. They announce endurance. They reveal a master who refused to let go. This is what I'm doing in you right now. I am turning your scars into your credentials. I am transforming your history of pain into a map that will lead others toward their own healing. You are not merely being fixed. You are being transfigured so the light of my glory shines brightest through the very places where you once felt most vulnerable. The world calls those places shame. I call them openings. The world calls them proof you failed. I call them proof you survived. The world tells you to hide your cracks. I tell you to let them become pathways. So look at your life through my eyes. Those failures you regret. They are seams where I am pouring wisdom. Those losses you mourn, and they are spaces where I am injecting supernatural strength. Stop trying to erase the lines where you were broken. Stop apologizing for what life put you through. Wear those golden lines like sacred jewelry upon your soul. The world prizes what is new and untouched, but I prize what has been tested and redeemed. The untouched vessel has never learned how to hold weight, but the kintsugi soul can hold what the perfect vessel never could. Because you have known valleys, you can now honor mountains. Because you have felt the cold of caves, you can now carry warmth into darkness. Your cracks are not exits for your strength, they are entrances for my power. I am sealing every leak and reinforcing every edge with a strength that is not of this world. And you will find that you no longer fear the trials of life, because even if you were to break again, I am the master of the gold. I do not lose what I love, I only make it more radiant. The gold is hardening now. The bond is becoming permanent, and you are ready to stand no longer as a fragile survivor, but as a beacon, a living testimony that nothing is beyond my repair. And now that you can see your cracks as sacred, I will speak to you about the next prison the enemy builds, one that looks like memory and feels like justice, but is secretly a chain. I see you standing at the edge of a vast and murky ocean, looking back at the shoreline of the last 5 years, counting shipwrecks and storms like they are proof of who you are. You carry a heavy bundle of chains forged from the iron of regret, and the stones of what was done against you. You replay your mistakes like a film that never ends, punishing yourself for words you cannot take back and choices you cannot undo. And you call it responsibility. You call it being realistic. But I am here to tell you something that will shatter the foundations of your self-imposed prison. I have already forgotten. When I looked at the cross, I saw every stain of your past, and I washed it away with a love that has no limits. I promised you I would be merciful to your unrighteousness, and your sins and lawless deeds I would remember no more. If the Creator of the universe has deleted the record, why are you still holding the file? Why are you still acting as the prosecutor of your own soul? Why do you insist on being the jailer of a cell whose door I have already unlocked and thrown wide open? You have been using years to punish yourself for what I already redeemed. And that is not humility, it is captivity disguised as devotion. There is a difference between conviction and condemnation. Conviction leads you toward me. Condemnation chains you away from me. Conviction says, "Come home." Condemnation says you can't. And the enemy loves condemnation because it keeps you stuck in the past while your destiny stands in front of you, waiting with open hands. Now listen, bitterness is a cord. You have allowed the bitterness of what others did to you to become poison in your own cup. You think that holding anger keeps you safe. You think resentment is a shield. But in truth, resentment is a tether. It keeps the offender connected to your heart. It lets them continue pulling energy from you long after they left your life. Forgiveness is not declaring what they did was right. Forgiveness is cutting the cord. Forgiveness is spiritual surgery. It is a clean severing, a holy release. So the enemy no longer has access to you through that wound. Drop the bundle, my beloved. Drop the shame of who you used to be. Drop the hatred for those who didn't know how to love you. Drop the self-contempt you have been calling accountability. You cannot walk into wide open spaces while dragging the graveyard of your past behind you. I have a new name for you, a new garment for you, and a new song for you to sing, but your hands must be empty to receive them. Let the dead bury their dead. You have been called to life, and life more abundant. And I am not only forgiving you, I am rewiring you. I am changing the way memory speaks to you. Some memories have been playing like a curse, looping and looping, trying to keep you small. But I am placing my hand on that inner projector. I am interrupting the replay. I am closing doors your mind keeps reopening. I am teaching your spirit to stop visiting graves for proof of pain when I have already written resurrection over you. The power of forgetting is a divine gift. It allows you to start over every morning without dragging yesterday into today. I do not look at you through the lens of your worst moment. I look at you through the lens of your calling. Every time you wake up, my mercies are new, fresh, waiting alive. I am resetting the clock of your life. The years the locusts ate, the years lost to grief, addiction, fear, wrong people, wrong seasons, I am restoring in a way that defies logic. I am accelerating you. I am compressing time. I am turning lessons into leverage. But you must leave the baggage at the gate. Walk forward with a clear mind and a light heart, because what I have stored for you is too heavy for someone still looking backward. You are forgiven. You are redeemed. And you are finally truly free. And now that your hands are empty, I will show you what I have been placing inside you all along, quietly, secretly, while you thought you were losing everything. Now that you have dropped the weight of the past, I want you to look within, because I have not left you empty. While you were weeping in the dark, I was depositing treasures into the fabric of your soul. You thought you were losing everything, but I was clearing clutter to make room for a divine treasury of power. What felt like subtraction was preparation. What felt like emptiness was expansion. I was creating capacity. I have equipped you with resilience that cannot be taught in any school. I have given you wisdom that only comes from walking through fire. I have trained you in rooms where nobody applauded, in seasons where nobody understood, in moments where all you had was breath and prayer. And in that hidden place, I signed your name upon a celestial inheritance. I placed keys into your spirit keys you could not use until your heart was sober, your hands were free, and your identity was restored. You are not entering your next season as a beggar. You are entering as an heir. I have placed within you a wealth of creativity that will solve problems that have baffled others for years. I have placed within you discernment that will see through masks and hidden motives. I have armed you with strength that does not come from your muscles, but from my breath within you. There are gifts in you that suffering did not create, but suffering uncovered. There are abilities in you that pressure did not invent, but pressure revealed. The enemy tried to crush you, but he only pressed you into shape. Listen closely, because a shift has already begun in the unseen realm. The atmosphere around your life is changing. The air is different. The internal weather is turning. And you will recognize it, not first by circumstances, but by sensation, because I am recalibrating your spirit, like an instrument returning to its true pitch. Peace will settle in places that used to panic. Clarity will rise where confusion used to swirl. Courage will awaken where fear used to sit. Within the next 24 hours, you will feel a quiet, inexplicable stillness, an early signal that something has moved. Within 7 days, you will begin to notice the first evidence alignment, openings, conversations, ideas arriving at the right moment, like they were scheduled by an unseen hand. Within 30 days, you will look back and realize the person who began this message is not the same person standing now in the light of my favor. I am accelerating your promotion. I am turning waiting rooms into throne rooms, not with ego, but with authority. Not with noise, but with weight. Not to make you bigger, but to make you ready. Because real blessings are heavy. Real assignments carry pressure. And I have been strengthening your shoulders and steadying your heart, so that what I release will not crush you. It will platform my glory through you. I have hidden within you answers for the questions your generation is asking. I have equipped you with a voice that carries kingdom authority. Do not fear the how or the when, because I am the God of the process and the God of the promise. The treasury is open, the equipment is ready, and the spirit of a conqueror is being awakened within you. And now, the next battle is not outside you, it is between your ears. Because when you step into power, the enemy always tries one last thing. He tries to talk you out of what I just built. My child, I have seen you stumble on the rugged path of your journey, and I have seen the dust of defeat settle upon your garments. You have fallen so many times that you started to believe the ground was your permanent address. But look at what I have written, not only in ancient wisdom, but in the very fabric of your spirit. Though a righteous person falls 7 times, they rise again. Your life was never designed to be measured by the moment you hit the ground, but by the divine refusal I placed inside you to stay there. That refusal is not stubbornness of the flesh. It is a seed of heaven, a quiet force that keeps pulling you upright when your strength says stop and your history says it's over. I have watched you rise with trembling knees and a bruised heart, and I have seen the sacred courage it took for you to try again while the memory of failure was still warm. You are not falling apart. You are falling into a new level of purpose. Every time you stand, you do not merely return, you ascend. Your setbacks have been used as steps. The scars on your knees are not marks of shame. They are medals of a warrior who refused to become a permanent casualty. I am breathing a fresh wind of persistence into your soul right now. A sober strength, a steady fire, a resilience that turns yesterday's obstacles into pebbles beneath your feet. Because the victor in you is not created by comfort, it is forged by pressure. Now I am calling you to bury the inner victim that has lived in the cellar of your mind for far too long. The victim asks, "Why me?" But the victor asks, "What now?" The victim sees the storm as punishment, but the victor recognizes it as conditioning training that makes you fireproof. You are being prepared to hold a weight that would crush a lesser soul, and that is why the pressure intensified. I was turning endurance into character into authority, and authority into a hope that does not collapse when the wind changes. Pain exists in a broken world, but you no longer have to live in the prison of prolonged suffering. The moment you stop agreeing with the narrative of defeat, you begin stepping into dominion. You are not a victim of your past. You are becoming the architect of the future I designed for you. And listen, this is subtle, but it is real. Your spirit has already shifted. The old version of you would fall and stay there in shame. The new version of you falls, breathes, and rises with clarity. The old you asked for permission to heal. The new you understands that healing is your inheritance. The old you saw delay as abandonment. The new you sees silence as training, as inner strengthening, as deep roots forming where nobody claps. My silence in certain seasons was never abandonment. It was the test of what you learned in the light. It was the furnace where I strengthened your inner life, so you could stand in a storm without becoming the storm. You have outlasted the voice that said, "Quit," and now the gates of your destiny are beginning to swing open. Not because you never fell, but because you kept rising. You are stronger than you think, wiser than you know, and more loved than you can imagine. The persistence you practiced in the dark is about to be rewarded in the light. And as you stand up one more time, you will notice something. The ground beneath you is no longer shifting sand. It is a foundation, solid, steady grace built. You are rising with new authority, new clarity, and a quiet power to conquer everything that once intimidated you. The victory is not only coming, it is already here waiting for you to walk in it. You are rising now, but you are not rising as the same person who fell. You are emerging from the shadows with a weight of wisdom that can't be borrowed from books, copied from mentors, or purchased by comfort. This wisdom was forged in the heat of tears and in the long hours where you had nothing to cling to but breath, promise, and the faint pulse of hope. It is a sober clarity, wholly sharp and calm, that allows you to see the world not as it performs, but as it truly is. You have learned what many never learn. My silence was not abandonment, it was training. It was the deep schooling of discernment and the hidden curriculum of the spirit. You now understand that every no I gave you was a yes to something greater, and every door I closed was a shield against a path that would have destroyed your soul. This wisdom is your crown, not a crown of ego, but a crown of stability, because it gives you the ability to walk through future storms with a heart that remains at rest, knowing the architect of the universe holds the blueprints of your life, even when you cannot see the next step. This wisdom changes your frequency. It changes the way you enter a room, what you tolerate, what you chase, and what you fear. You are no longer easily swayed by the opinions of men or the fluctuations of a world that reinvents itself every hour, because your anchor has been dropped into the depths of my unchanging nature. Your spirit is steadier now, your eyes are clearer now, Your yes is cleaner, your no is stronger, and your peace is no longer fragile. You have stopped negotiating with chaos. And this wisdom is not for you to hoard. It is equipment for mission. I allowed you to walk through the valley of the shadow so you could become a guide for those still wandering there. Your mess has become your message. Your tests have become your testimony. And you are becoming a lighthouse on the shore of other people's despair. When they look at you, they will not see someone who was never broken. They will see someone who was broken and then beautifully rebuilt by the hand of the Almighty. Your scars are no longer reminders of pain. They are credentials of authority. You can speak to the lonely because you have been alone. You can speak to the anxious because you have felt the midnight tremor. You can speak to the bankrupt because you have known lack. You can speak to the grieving because I have counted every tear, yes, even the ones you wiped away quickly so no one would notice. You are being transformed from a seeker of miracles into a vessel through which miracles flow. And now a new season is opening, not because you begged enough, but because your character finally matches the magnitude of what you prayed for. The door must open because you are ready to walk through it without losing your soul. You are no longer chasing the gift more than the giver. You have learned that in my presence is fullness of joy, and everything else is addition. This wisdom is the foundation for the next level of your destiny, and you will move with a precision and a grace that will confuse those who watched you struggle. Because they will not understand the invisible work that happened in you, while nothing seemed to be happening around you. They will see the shift in your countenance, the peace in your stride, the authority in your silence, and they will know you have been with the Father. So stand tall in your new wisdom and let it settle into your bones. Let it become your posture. Let it become your atmosphere. Because the final seal is being placed upon your restoration, and what I restore, I establish. You are rising not as a survivor, but as a light. My beloved, the journey we have taken together through these words has not been merely for your information, but for your transformation. As we reach this final threshold, I want you to feel the warmth of my hand upon your shoulder and the weight of my peace within your chest. The cracks you once tried to hide, the places where the world broke you and the enemy tried to discard you, have become windows, and through them my light now radiates. You are no longer only a vessel. You are a beacon. The gold of my grace has hardened within your seams, and the structure of your life is now stronger than the trials that once tried to dismantle you. I have watched your endurance. I have seen your character grow through silence, and now I am establishing your hope on a foundation that cannot be shaken. I am the Alpha and the Omega, the one who began this work in you, and the one who is faithful to bring it to completion. You are not a project to be finished. You are my masterpiece, and I will never let you go. This is the moment of the final seal, the moment where what was initiated in the unseen must be anchored into your daily reality. Do not underestimate what happens when you agree with heaven out loud. Words are not just sound, they are spiritual architecture. So I want you to make one last holy declaration, not as performance, but as alignment. In the comments type, I am restored. Let that be your boundary line in the spirit, the marker that says, the old season cannot reclaim me. And if your heart is beating fast because you can feel the shift, add amen beneath it, not because you need to convince me, but because your own soul needs to witness what it is choosing. This is not superstition. This is a seal. This is you closing the door on years of shame and walking fully into the light of your destiny, like the final shout that brings down the last remaining walls. Now listen closely, because your restoration is personal, but it is not private. You are part of something larger than your own struggle, a royal priesthood, a chosen generation, those who survived the dark so they could carry dawn for others. That is why I am drawing you into this family of light. Subscribe to this channel not as a casual click, but as a spiritual decision to stay near the sound that feeds your spirit when the world tries to pull you back into numbness. And press like as your quiet, yes, a small motion that becomes a signal. I choose truth over fear. I choose healing over hiding. I choose to keep walking. When you do this, you are training your heart to remain tuned, to remain awake, to remain ready for the next layer of instruction I will release. And if you feel led, if this message met you in a night where you felt alone, if it interrupted a spiral, if it pulled you back from the edge, there is a deeper way to sow into what is restoring you. Super thanks is not a payment for prophecy. It is an offering of gratitude, a seed you place into the ground of light so more souls can be reached. Give only if it is clean in your spirit, only if peace is on it, because I do not desire pressure, I desire purity. But understand, this generosity breaks chains too. When you sow into what feeds you, you are declaring that lack does not own you, and darkness does not control the reach of your testimony. As you walk forward from this moment, carry the light you have received. Share this message with 3 souls who are still wandering in their own caves of numbness, because the light in you was never meant to stop at you. And remember, your cracks are no longer exits for your strength, they are entrances for my power. The gold holds. The bond is permanent. The seal is set. My child, I have one more secret to whisper before we part. Your restoration is complete, but your mission is just beginning. There is a specific person I have placed in your future, someone whose heart is as broken as yours once was, and you carry a key that fits their cage. I have prepared a divine appointment that will not only change their life, but will solidify the legacy I am building through you. So prepare your heart and rest in the stillness of my love. The path is bright, the way is clear, and the best of your life is yet to manifest. I love you with an everlasting love, and I am already knocking at the next door of your destiny. Go in peace. My precious one, for you are finally truly free.